Good morning, this is S.Pearlin Jenishriya from the Department of English. The title for today's discussion is The Night of the Scorpion, which was written by Nizam Ezekiel. Nizam Ezekiel was an Indian Jewish poet, actor and playwright. The themes that he develops in his poems and writings are love, Indian contemporary scene, modern urban life and spiritual values. And he is considered to be the father of modern Indian poetry. And he is honored with Sahitya Academy Award in 1983 and the Padma Shri Award in 1988. His first book is considered to be The Bad Day. For today's discussion, the poem is The Night of the Scorpion. The Night of the Scorpion is a very famous poem, and it is now even prescribed in the syllabi of Indian and Colombian schools. So it was published in the year 1965. It has been included in AQA anthology. This poem is about how the scorpion bit the poet's mother, and the poet has tried to cover the love of his mother, basically all the mothers. So the theme, the complete narration is all about the love of a mother. And the poem starts in a house where it was raining completely for about 10 hours altogether, and it was in the night time. A scorpion entered the poet's house to take shelter, and it also bit the poet's mother. The poet was helpless while his mother was stung by the scorpion. As soon as this incident happened, the people around the house, the so-called neighbors, the peasants, they all gathered in the poet's house to see what happened to the poet's mother. They were all sitting together. They started to talk the words that would console the mother. Like they were telling her that the bite of the scorpion is going to delete all the sins that she committed in the past, and the sins in the present, also the sins that she is going to commit in the future. So there's these superstitious belief. They thought that would be healing to the person who was suffering. But the father of the poet was a rational person. He was a skeptic person. A person who was skeptic is a person who is always of reasons, like they will be asking for reasons in anything that they do. So that kind of a person was the poet's father. So he did not think, or he was mindless, he did not regard anything that happened in the current situation. He just went, he brought in a medicine called paraffin, and he applied it in the bitten toe of his wife. So he was not ready to listen to anything that the peasants were talking over his suffering wife. So this was the scene that happened in the poem, and the narrator was just a spectator, and he was just looking into everything that happened, and he was helpless. He was a small boy, so he was helpless. So the poet's mother went on with the suffering for about 20 hours. After 20 hours of her suffering, she recovered from the pain, and finally she opened her mouth. So all of the time she was silent, she did not speak anything, she was just bearing the pain. But after 20 hours of suffering, after she was recovered from the pain, she uttered a statement saying, "Thank God, the scorpion spared my children." She said, "Thank God, the scorpion spared my children." So this was a shocking statement, and that must have made the poet write this poem itself. So he was shocked to see that his mother uttered this statement, saying she was thanking God for what happened. So we must know that we might know that the poem would be ending with a word of curse, because she was the one who went on with such a suffering for about 20 hours. After that kind of a suffering, she should definitely must have uttered some cursing words to the God. Why God? Why did you allow me to suffer such kind of a thing? But she thanked God. She thanked God for such kind of a suffering for about 20 hours, saying that the scorpion did not do anything to my children, and the suffering was all on my head. So this was the only thing that must have made the poet write this poem. So as I told earlier, this is a poem that is completely about the love of a mother. she was silent altogether. She did not utter any word when all these things happened. Even when the peasants were talking all these things, she did not open her mouth saying anything. But at last, after she was healed from the pain, she thanked God. So this is completely a beautiful poem that portrays the love of a mother. Talking about the themes of the poem, as I told earlier, is love, motherly love. A mother's love is pure, is something that is always ready to sacrifice anything for her children, to make her children happy. So this kind of a portrayal the poet tried to make on his mother, showing that the world's mother, all the mothers in the world will be like this. So he tried to cover this kind of a theme in his poem. Also, the conflict between science and tradition. It's a beautiful portrayal of conflict between science and tradition, where the poet has tried to cover a beautiful thing, that is the science, the symbol of science here is the father who was rational, who was skeptic. He did not think, or he did not mind about all the people who were gathered there. So the only thing that was ready, that was needed for his suffering wife was a medicine. So he was thinking only about that. So he went for healing her, for a first aid, so that that would help her from from this suffering. So he applied this paraffin on her bitten toe, and he was not ready to listen to any of the superstitious beliefs that the people who gathered were talking. So he was a symbol of science, and the people who gathered there, the peasants, they were the symbol of tradition. They didn't know that the words that they were uttering was not going to be useful to the person who was suffering. So they only thought the words, the superstitious belief that they were uttering will be helpful to her, but in reality it was not going to do anything to the person who was suffering. They thought it would be, but it's not actually. So it is their mindset. They only know that the traditional values, the traditional things, the religious things that would be helpful for the person to come out of the suffering. So here we could see there is a conflict. In one single poem, we could see two different genres, where one person was thinking about science and the other people were thinking about tradition. And finally, the theme is rationalism. So we could see that the poet's father was a rational person. Person who is rational is always of objectivity. So they never will be thinking about emotions, beliefs and anything. So the only thing that he was thought he was ready to do was to give a first aid to his wife. So he was ready to do that all of a sudden after his wife was going through that suffering. So he is a rational father. So the poet has also covered rationalism in the poem. So here we could see that the poem was written in order to show reflection. He tried to reflect the Indian contemporary scene. As we already know that the themes of Nizam Ezekiel, he includes these kinds of themes in his writing. So he tries to bring in Indian contemporary scene in his poem, where he tried to just reflect the unity that we could see in these people. Because it was raining outside, it was heavily raining for about 10 hours together, but they were ready to come and see what happened to their neighbor. So this unity and community we could see in these people. Also, we were able to see that the people were talking all these superstitious beliefs on her. They were also doing some chants over her in order to help her recover from the pain. So Nizam Ezekiel has tried to portray traditional values, as well as he has also tried to show that the people of India are also related to science. So he has made this father was a epitome of science. So he was ready to give this medicine for this first aid immediately after he knew that she was suffering. So this conflict, this tradition was the conflict between the tradition and science and modernity was something that he tried to show in his poem through these kind of writings. Also, he has tried to reflect the contemporary Indian society, how the people are always also mindful about science as well as about traditional values. So that's all for today's discussion. Thank you.